We won the national championship the day that I was inaugurated as vice president as the Ohio State Buckeyes. So I'm pretty lucky this year with sports.
Did you put an ask
good.
in, by the way, on inauguration night about whether you could catch a plane?
I did.
Yeah, I thought so.
There are stories that I am particularly focused on, in part just because you talk with your buddies about it. Like, I'm obsessed with the whole UFO thing. What's actually going on? What were those videos all about?
He's a big UFO guy. So.
I am. I've been to Roswell.
Have
I've done the tours. I've done the whole thing.
Did you see any aliens?
No, I saw the hangar where they were.
My political advice to the Democrats is continue to tell everybody who thinks Sydney Sweeney is attractive is a Nazi. that appears to be their actual strategy. I mean, it actually reveals something pretty interesting about the Dems, though.
America is back. Thanks to President Trump and leader John Thune's working family tax cuts, we stopped the biggest tax hike in history. But that's only the beginning. The big, beautiful bill also cuts taxes on tips and overtime, secures the border, finishes the wall, and protects Medicaid for Americans, not illegals. Leader Thune and Senate Republicans got President Trump's conservative agenda done, providing real relief for every hardworking American that's up early and home late. We're bringing manufacturing jobs back home and making America great again. Tell Leader John Thune and Senate Republicans thank you for delivering President Trump's agenda. Learn more at onenationamerica.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs.
It's time for our main event.
Mr. Vice President, thank you for hosting us here.
It's good to be with you guys. Good to see you all.
The Indian Treaty Room, as we've discussed.
In my honor, I appreciate that.
In the honor of Smug, yeah, that's great. Happy to welcome you in style to the Indian Treating Room.
It's wonderful. Listen, I think the last time that we saw you, you uncovered one of the greatest scandals in sporting history, in the angling community at least, as we were fishing, and this guy tried to steal a victory from you and I.
I remember that.
Out on fishing boats.
Oh no! Buddy, they got a fish over there. Oh no! Oh no!
That is a dead fish. Look at that fish.
It's a dead fish. It doesn't count.
It's a dead fish!
It has to be alive. I'd like a hand recount of that fish because none of us think that fish is actually alive.
What I remember is when we got back, it was pretty cold. You know, it was Michigan in October, so it was a little chilly. But I was like, it's not that chilly because the fish is frozen solid. And that was my first tip-off that we had a sort of stop the steal moment here. But yeah, no, I actually, I was telling you guys earlier, I went fishing. I caught 4 fish last week. It was a big deal.
Nice.
We were in Nantucket for a fundraiser, and then I was able to get a little fishing in beforehand, so that was nice.
Just a touch of normal life.
Just a touch of normal life, you know, me and my 9 Coast Guard boats and 4 police boats. But no, man, it's good. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah, it's great to see you too.
You know, last time we hung out, you were just podcast hosts, and now you have your own TV show.
Well,
so,
we're
all moving up in the world. We all have new jobs.
We're ticking up a little bit, just a little bit. But no, thank you for doing this. And I know this is going to be all the hard-hitting questions.
Okay, good.
I mean, we're just going to come at you like hardcore journos.
It's actually doing a friendly interview or like an interview with people I like is way more dangerous.
That's where you get in trouble.
That's exactly right. Because when you're doing a super hostile interview, first of all, you pretty much know what they're going to ask. And you're kind of like ready for battle. I think it's when you let your guard down actually is when I've gotten the most trouble, but it's
good.
Okay.
Let's get
into it. let's just wade into really, well, I won't say deep shit, or you'll have to bleep it out, I guess.
Not really. No, I think they've taken the governor off of us altogether.
Right. That's just still good and unfiltered.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to start with probably the most important discussion happening in our country today, which is Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah.
So the Democrats have essentially been like, Sydney Sweeney represents like a Nazi white supremacy issue. Do you think it's that deep? And do you think attacking Sydney Sweeney is how they can win back young males?
Is that a good move?
Yeah, my political advice to the Democrats is continue to tell everybody who thinks Sydney Sweeney is attractive is a Nazi. that appears to be their actual strategy. I mean, it actually reveals something pretty interesting about the Dems, though, which is that you have like a normal all-American beautiful girl doing like a normal jeans ad, right? They're trying to sell jeans to kids in America, and they have managed to so unhinge themselves over this thing. And it's like, you guys, did you learn nothing from the November 2024 election? Like, I actually thought that one of the lessons they might take is we're going to be less crazy. The lesson they have apparently taken is we're going to attack people as Nazis for thinking Sydney Sweeney is beautiful. Great strategy, guys. That's how you're going to win the midterms, especially young American men.
Their course correction lasted about 30 seconds.
That's right. Lasted 30 seconds. Somehow has gotten even crazier. But again, it's just so much of the Democrats is oriented around hostility to basic American life. So you have a pretty girl doing a jeans ad and they can't help but freak out. It reveals a lot more about them than it does us.
No question. Duncan?
Yeah, so I think this is important because you're obviously a really cool, normal guy. And so I have to imagine.
We can wrap the interview there. Thank you, guys. We're done.
Like, having gone fishing with you and everything, I know that from experience. And so I have to imagine becoming vice president of the United States is sort of a jarring experience.
Yeah, it's
at
weird.
some level, where it's like, you kind of have an idea of what you're getting into, but you really don't.
That's right.
And I'm curious, in this first 6 months, which has been incredible and you guys have accomplished so much, is there one thing that is like, this is crazy? What's the craziest thing you've been sort of roped into here in this first 6 months?
Oh, man, that's a really good question. I mean, there's so much I could talk about just the job, about all the interesting conversations you have in the Oval Office with the president. I mean, we're here in the Eisenhower Executive Office building. For those who are watching or listening, like across the street is the West Wing, right? Which is where I have an office here, but my main office is in the West Wing. And so you do all this cool stuff. But two things I would point out. Number one is I really miss driving. Right? That's kind of the craziest thing is I don't drive a car anymore. I haven't driven in a week. And I remember, I mean, it's, obviously a very tragic, but ultimately a good moment for the country because the president survived. But when you had the shots ring out in Butler, PA, I was asked to be the VP nominee a couple days later. And that day, we were out at a mini golf thing in a brewery in Cincinnati with our kids. I grabbed the kids when I saw the president had been shot. I didn't know if he was okay or not. We drove home, and I didn't realize at the moment that, on the way home, somebody calls me, says the president's okay. It's like, all right, thank God the president's okay. But that was the last time I had driven a car.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was it.
Getting that phone call. And then we pull into my driveway. The governor of Ohio sends the highway patrol to sort of do, basically some security for the house for the next couple of days.
On what was about to happen.
Yeah, which we didn't know it at the time, but because I was like one of the plausible contenders and that had just happened, he sent the highway patrol of Ohio to sort of take care of us. And I didn't realize that was it. I would never drive a car again. The other crazy thing is, so we were home we were in Cincinnati last weekend. And I actually didn't realize this until this moment that we went on a 3.5 mile hike with our kids, and it was hot as hell in Cincinnati. It was one of these 94 degree, 95% humidity days in southwestern Ohio. And I was looking and I saw the mill aide, who's the person who carries the nuclear football, and she was sweating like crazy with this 50-pound pack. And I was like, wait, you have to come with me when I go on a hike with my kids? And then I kind of hit me oh, it makes sense, but you must hate my guts right now. I just made you run through southwestern Ohio 3.5 miles. She's absolutely miserable, but you got to do what you got to do. And my wife actually asked the Secret Service afterwards. She was like, do they just hate the fact that we still try to live a pretty active, normal life? And the Secret Service is kind of it was well, half of them really like it because it forces them to exercise, and half of them, absolutely hate your guts. Was basically the conclusion.
Well, you mentioned Cincinnati. We can't get through a single interview with anybody without this guy injecting Ohio.
Hamilton, Ohio. Yeah. Proud native.
Man's proud of his town.
That's right.
It's just part of it.
Go Big Blue.
Yeah, absolutely. But
that's a reference to the Ohio State fans to the Hamilton.
Yes,
that was a Michigan shout out.
That was not a Michigan shout out, to be clear.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But as you know, in our hometown, just a few days ago, there was a horrible incident. Everybody saw it play out on the internet. And, just people saw it in Cincinnati. People saw it around the country. And, every city has its down days, its down months. But I'm wondering, you guys have done so much to keep people safe around the country from a federal level. What more do you think cities can be doing to make sure that people stay safe in their cities, in the coming months and years?
I think the biggest thing, and obviously we can help this at the federal level, but the most important thing that states and cities can do is to actually solve the law enforcement recruitment challenge that we have. Yeah. So a big part of the story, what happened in Cincinnati, I assume you're talking about this terrible brawl that happened in southwestern Ohio you had, I mean, basically a woman who was just an innocent bystander who got punched in the face by a grown man. That's being investigated. Hopefully those folks are brought to justice. Just a really disgusting act of violence. But part of the story there is that there weren't enough police officers at the Cincinnati Jazz Festival. Why aren't there enough police officers? Because there aren't enough police officers in Cincinnati. And if you talk to local law enforcement, they'll tell, sometimes you hear heartbreaking stories of a 4th, 5th generation cop who says, I tell my son or daughter, do not go into law enforcement because it's so uncomfortable, because they got attacked so much, especially back in 2020, 2021. And that's just left a really bad hangover. So we've got to get the best and the brightest into law enforcement. I think the most important thing is local governments. You still got a lot of blue, big city mayors, people who maybe have some memories of the defund the police moment. Maybe they themselves were actually advocating defund the police. They've got to say, okay, this was a crazy moment. We got to support our local cops, and we got to get good people back into law enforcement, because pretty much every big city police department is really understaffed. You're going to have stuff like that, right? Because, look, Cincinnati's not the biggest city in the world. You got 300,000 people, give or take, in the actual city proper. You're going to have, of 300,000 people, sometimes you're going to have misbehavior. You got to make sure local law enforcement is there to respond to it, so you don't have this really disgusting street brawl that just went on and on and on. People got hurt. It's really terrible. The way to fix it is to get good people back into law enforcement.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So one of the things that really, I think, resonates with all of our audience, certainly with us, about you and being here is just you're a normal guy, as Duncan was saying. It can kind of identify with how you deal with it. So now you got this gig, right? We're all familiar with Hillbilly Elegy, your story. You had a lot of tough jobs over the years.
I have.
And now you're like Tom Brady's backup in some ways.
That's good.
Right?
That makes me feel like shit. That's a good way of putting it. I'm the backup to the GOAT. That's a very good way of putting it.
So, you're at the Naval Observatory. Beautiful piece.
That is the one thing I will say. I think I've got definitely the best residence.
Yeah,
the president even will say that.
Give us a little insight into the day in the life. Like, I know you're working all the time, and I don't mean to undermine that, but you got this big, beautiful piece of land. You got your kids out playing in the yard. You're doing stuff. Like, give us a little flavor for what that's like.
So the vice president's residence, which is on the old Naval Observatory, is about 40 or so acres of completely private space. And then, outside of business hours, the Naval Observatory is empty. So we've got probably 130 acres of just our own space.
Wow.
And it's amazing for the kids. So an 8-year-old, 5-year-old, and then a 3-year-old, they've got plenty of room to run around. For example, a couple weeks ago, there's like a running track there that's really nice. And I was running, it was sort of later in the day, and there were just lightning bugs everywhere. And it kind of hit me like, when was the last time the kids were just able to catch lightning bugs?
See nature.
Right?
Yeah.
Or fireflies. I think it's a regional thing. I think if you're further west, you call them fireflies. Anyway, so I take the kids out there in a golf cart, and they're just running around catching lightning bugs at 8:30 at night. Yeah. And my wife's like, it's time for bed. And I'm like, but they're having such a good time. It's just like moments like that you think you sort of have to give up, but you're on such a private area that it actually preserves a lot of normalcy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
And like Ush and I can go outside and, have a beer and just sit on the porch and watch. Like my favorite thing growing up in Southwestern Ohio, absolute favorite thing is like a summer thunderstorm. Yeah. And DC's got a lot of those. We've got this beautiful porch. We just go out, have a beer, watch it rain, the dog's hanging out. There are a lot of perks to this. And there are certainly, sacrifices and responsibilities, but I really do think that Tom Brady backup notwithstanding, it's pretty much the best job, because the flip side of that is, I like the president encourages me to be involved in everything, and I've never felt like he's, shut me out or that I haven't been part of the core team, and that makes the job very cool. But fundamentally, the honest truth is he bears more of the weight of responsibility, right? He's the one who ultimately has to make these big decisions. He delegates and involves everybody. But that's an incredible burden. I just get to hang out and take all the credit when things go well. and then my kids have this beautiful house with a wonderful swimming pool in the middle of Washington, D.C. It's not a bad gig.
A nation isn't just built
It's powered
By people like us.
Last year, Chevron increased U.S. production by nearly 20% to help keep energy reliable. And since 2022, we've spent $44 billion with local suppliers, supporting good jobs across all 50 states. But we're not done yet. Now we're investing $9 billion in American energy projects to help build the future, right here at home.
We put in the work.
because America depends on it.
Learn more about the hands at work powering America.
Do you have NFL Sunday ticket?
Oh, there. That's a good question.
I actually do not have NFL Sunday ticket. I need to get it, but
it's coming up.
I mean, it's coming up, right? I mean, I guess the season starts. Preseason probably starts in a few days, right? When's the Hall of Fame game?
Hall of Fame game is tonight.
It's tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was actually just in Akron a couple days ago, and they had it all
Nice.
decked out, ready for the Hall of Fame game there in Canton. So I pretty much only follow the Bengals at this point in my life, right? Sort of Cincinnati sports guy.
So
It's
just
tough.
so you know, we
It's
hit
tough.
a hard cap
But-
on Ohio.
No, I know.
references.
Sorry. Yeah, okay. We've hit our limit.
No. There is no cap.
So the thing is, I don't, because somebody always has Sunday ticket. I'm always able to watch the Bengals games, and like I used to have Red Zone, but I just don't have enough time to watch NFL football anymore. That even Red Zone is kind of like a thing that I don't really need. So I don't know. Maybe now that I'm vice president, I'll get back into watching like every game possible.
There you
But we'll see.
So
So we'll see how busy it is come the fall.
I mean, that's the thing is, it feels like this administration and you especially have this very strong level of appealing to young males in this country who have for so long been neglected.
Yeah.
I think it'd be critical, number one, for you to get Sunday ticket. Make sure you watch football. And number two is hang out with us on Sundays. Because,
There we go.
like, I will watch football.
There we go.
AFC football's terrific.
In case you missed that, Smug just invited ourselves to the.
Yeah, that's great. You guys come over to the VPR every Sunday. I'm sure my wife will be thrilled. It's like, all right, honey, look, I know we have a busy life, but we're gonna watch 11 hours of football.
Right.
Yeah. And that was another thing. Like I used to be an obsessive NFL fan, right? And I remember when we lived in California, the games start there at like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'd just be like, all right, honey, I'm going to watch football from about 10 o'clock until 8 o'clock at night.
Oh, yeah.
And the minute we start having kids, it's like, that is not happening
Do
anymore.
not tell my wife that. Do not tell my wife. She's still under the impression that was part of the.
Don't ruin it for all of
but
us.
it did really focus my fandom on the Bengals.
Yeah.
So, there are good things that come along with it. By the way, the Bengals, this is our year. I know you think we have enough Ohio references, but we fixed the O-line this year.
Yep.
We still got some, we'll see. I think Burrow is at the perfect stage of maturity. The wide receiver core is excellent.
Yeah, you got that.
I think our defense is solid. Look, man, this is the classic refrain for 41 years of Bengals fans. My entire life, this is our year. But I actually think this is our year. By the way, we won the national championship the day that I was inaugurated as vice president as the Ohio State Buckeyes. So I'm pretty lucky this year with sports.
Did you put
I'm
an
feeling
ask
good.
in, by the way, on inauguration night about whether you could catch a plane?
I did.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, I put the ask in beforehand, but I was like talking to the president. I was like, it'd be really cool if we got inaugurated and I just went down to, I think the game was in Atlanta,
Mercedes-Benz.
and watched the national title game. And he's like, oh yeah, that's great. And I was like, yeah, it would mean that I would have to miss all of the inaugural balls. And he was like, oh, that's not so great. But I was able to catch the game in between the balls.
Yeah.
So the scary thing is, if you remember the game, Ohio State started out really well. Yeah. Like we went up so much where I was like, I went to the first ball thinking I don't really have to worry about this game. And then I think it was in between the second and third ball, I was like, no, I'm not leaving. We have to watch because it tightened up a little bit. Notre Dame came back. But we won. It worked out. We had the Ohio State Buckeyes at the White House, which was very exciting.
I bet that was exciting.
I broke the national championship trophy, one of my low points as vice president. But
it looks fragile.
Okay. The thing is,
To me, that's poor advanced work.
Okay.
Advanced guys,
enough.
throw them
That's
under the
enough.
bus.
Everybody knows not to give the vice president glass.
But like it looks like a trophy that you just pick up by the base, but actually the trophy lifts out of the base. And so like what happened is I tried to pick up the whole trophy and then it started to wobble because you're not supposed to pick up the whole thing. And then,
just panic.
What happened. It actually, one of the players was trying to help me and grabbed the trophy itself and lifted it out. I was like, oh my God, we just broke the trophy. But that was actually on purpose.
I don't think
it's meant to be left at that.
I don't think you're going to have the same problem with the Lombardi Trophy next.
No, that's
March.
right. Very simple. Yeah, very good, old-fashioned American manufacturing. It's good. Just a single piece of steel. That's right. That's the vice president proof trophy is the Vince Lombardi Trophy. So to the Bengals, you've got to win.
Yeah.
You've got to win the Super Bowl this year.
Oh yeah.
So one of the things that we were wondering about, I mean, we do our show in large part because we feel like we're talking to our buddies back home.
Sure.
You know, and it's like, what would make them laugh? What would make them think? What information are they thinking about? And I know you kind of have this with people you grew up with and your family, and we've met some of them who are fantastic, by the way. How do you still communicate? I'm not asking you how you communicate, but do you, I mean, like
phone. I have a cell phone still.
Yeah. They didn't take that away?
They didn't take that away, but sorry, go ahead.
Like I got like a 20-year text chain with guys that are just like busting my balls all the time.
Yeah.
You're vice president. Like, does that still happen?
That still happens.
Yeah?
That definitely still happens. No, I mean, there's a text chain that I have with like my closest buddies, like my groomsmen.
Yeah.
And we're, go back to high school. Some of us even go back to elementary school. And yeah, I mean, like if you wanted to ruin me politically, you would just leak this text chain to the American media. But luckily, all my buddies are still very, very close and very loyal. I mean, it actually, I think, makes the job just so much better because it keeps you humble and it keeps you grounded. And also, like, there are things my buddies are thinking about and talking about that sometimes interact with this job that I wouldn't be aware of. I mean, the worst thing I would say about this job is you really do live in a certain bubble. Like I can't just like walk down to the coffee shop or walk out to a bar and grab a beer and just like, you have random conversations with strangers. That just doesn't happen anymore, right? And so my buddies, my family are sort of the only way that I think I get constant unfiltered input. And even when I go out and do events, I mean, they're fun and I love them and I love talking to people, but people just treat you a little bit differently now. They're a little bit less filtered than they would have been, I think, even when I was a senator. But the people who are still maximally unfiltered are my buddies from back home.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And you always know when you get something from them, they're probably not following politics day in, day out. But if something breaks through and they start busting it up on you, you're 100%. Like, uh-oh.
No, that's exactly right. No, that's exactly right. Like once they're talking about an issue, I know that it's broken contain here.
Yes,
and it's but what's so interesting about it is there are issues like, pharmaceutical pricing that I would have never thought about as like a main issue for my buddies who are all, about my age, around the age of 40. But then they'll like, oh, Trump just did this thing and it's really cool. And I'll be like, oh, that's amazing. To your point about breaking containment. Yeah. And then they'll send me messages about like, oh, did you know this was happening in some random part of the world? And sometimes it's like, no, I didn't, but I'll go find out and figure out what the hell's going on.
I think I got a guy for that.
Yeah, exactly. I know a guy. But the other thing is there are stories that I am particularly focused on, in part just because you talk with your buddies about it. Like I'm obsessed with the whole UFO thing. What's actually going on? What were those videos all about? What's actually happening? I haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet, but we're only 6 months in. We've been very busy. That's actually the August recess is in part me going to try to dive to the bottom of the whole UFO thing from last year. So
I mean, you got to have us back.
Okay, I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
We'll help you go through the whole Roswell situation and everything.
Yeah,
he's a big UFO guy. So.
I am. I've been to Roswell. I've done the tours. I've done the whole thing.
Did you see any aliens?
No, I saw the hangar where they were. No, I got the whole dime store tour of Roswell.
So
they're a little bashful about it now.
Okay, so we'll have to check back on that.
But if you need to take me to Area 51, I'm happy to.
To
join.
Once I get to the bottom of it,
okay.
If there's anything there, I'll make sure you're the first to know.
Don't take any of these guys.
He's offering himself for an experiment.
Don't do it.
I'll take Smug to Area 51.
Yeah. That's content and
with
ratings.
the sunglasses. I'm sure it won't raise any alarm bells when we roll in.
I love it. Listen, Mr. Vice President, I can't thank you enough for having us here. This is always a pleasure. You're such a good dude, and we love hanging out. So thanks a bunch.
Good to see you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we know the cornerstone is Christ alone, our hope now forever.